It's 2025, with Monster Hunter Wilds on the horizon coming out very soon. You may be asking yourself, how can I get ready for its release? Should I play any of the previous Monster Hunter titles? And if so, which ones? There's a pretty short answer, but there's also a longer one with more reasoning and rationale behind it. So let's dive into that today. If instead you want to get a flavor of how the weapons are looking from the open beta test of Wilds, you can check out the all weapons overview. It'll give you a pretty good roundup. And if you enjoy my Monster Hunter guides, do consider joining the 20% of returning viewers and subscribe to the channel for more. And with that said, let's jump in. The short answer is every iteration of Monster Hunter seeks to take the best of the previous titles, adapt and improve upon them whilst also experimenting with new features, simultaneously providing familiarity with the franchise whilst also putting forward a new spin on it. With that in mind, the more Monster Hunter titles you can sink some time into, the broader your understanding and mastery of the various mechanics will be, making you overall just a better hunter, outside of a particular game. But from the time of this video's release, we've got 2 months before Monster Hunter Wilds does come out. And given this is going to be what Elden Ring was to the Soulsborne games, an already very successful franchise that had a niche following, then being brought to the wider mainstream masses, time is indeed of the essence and there is a lot at stake. Well, not really, but let's be a bit dramatic about it, I suppose. The most efficient use of your time if you can only play one game would be to dive into Monster Hunter World. I'm going to explore exactly why that is in just a moment, but if you do have more time on your hands, I would recommend playing Rise as well. Not only is it a fantastic title and you'll have tons of fun with it, but Wilds has taken the best of Rise and the best of World. We already saw this with our hands-on experience from the open beta, where the weapons feel like they've cherry-picked bits and pieces from the 2 different games and then added on an extra new spin. Not forgetting that World and Rise both did the same thing with their predecessors as well. So if you've only got time for one of these, why is it that you should play Monster Hunter World in order to prepare for Wilds? The first part of that answer is to do with the overall aesthetic and feel of the game. The art style of World is much more grounded and realistic, if you will, as opposed to the more cartoony, arcadey vibe of Rise. And these factors also play into the actual speed of the game too. World feels slower, more rooted in realism. Granted, I know you're doing very superhero stuff as well, where Rise has the much faster pace, very arcadey boss rush feel to it. Out of the two, it's very clear that Wilds has followed in the footsteps of World. And why wouldn't it? It was insanely popular and was the first entry that brought it into the mainstream at all. The overall vibe you'll have with playing World will carry over into Wilds, giving you a sense of familiarity the moment you step into the game. Another big reason is something that I just touched on briefly there. Wilds is going to have these very large pseudo-open world areas, where traversal and exploration will play key parts of the core gameplay. While all Monster Hunter games are about hunting down the monster, so in some regards you could just say that they're all boss rush titles, you feel this a lot more in Rise, where the levels feel more like a runway over to the fight rather than anything else. It's point A to B, then hunt the monster, then you're done. It's not particularly about stopping to smell the roses, or chilling with endemic life, perhaps admiring the vast landscapes. And once you're in Wilds, this is going to feel very alien to you. Much of the game is about navigating these massive, virtually fully open world areas, during and in between your hunts of the monsters. The last reason I want to focus on for why World will be a superior choice if you can only play one, is that in terms of the game's unique sort of gimmick that they added, World has the Clutch Claw, which only got added into Iceborne even, and behaves in such a way in that it's necessary for the hunts for efficiency, but is a feature that is in addition to the weapon's core usage. Contrasting this to Rise's unique gimmick with the wire bugs, and the switch skills that you can activate using them, completely transforming how they play and what they can even do, rather than their moveset being a static feature that is then complemented by an additional element. It's super cool, very dope. However, Wilds' focus mode is much more akin to that of the Clutch Claw, an element, a feature that complements the core weapon, the core gameplay, rather than shaping it from its very roots. Which is quite funny because many of the focus strikes are actually switch skills from Rise. Don't take these as criticisms for Rise. Rise is a fantastic game, it just has a very different feel to it compared to World. Both titles have all of the 14 weapons that that are going to be returning to Wilds, and they do have elements of both games. So if you can find the time to play both of them, brilliant. That'll be the perfect runway prior to Wilds' release. But if you can only afford to play one, and both in regards of time and cash, then jumping into World with Iceborne is going to be your best bet. This will allow Wilds to feel super familiar and for you to hit the ground running with it. We just got a fresh announcement that a second open beta is taking place early February, so if you haven't caught the announcement on that, do check that out. And let me know your thoughts on what I've shared here. Do you agree, disagree? Do you think Rise is a better game to play beforehand if you can only play one of them? Let me know in the comments, I would love to hear from you. If you enjoy my Monster Hunter videos, join the 20% of returning viewers and subscribe for more. Thank you for watching, and until next time, I'll see you in the Forbidden Lands.